What's up? How are you doing? I'm so excited to have my friend Yulia Blanova here from Zignify. And, you know, today we're going to talk about sourcing. And some of you guys know me as a sourcing expert, right? Because I take you on trips around the world and we do sourcing adventures together in Mexico and China and Jordan and India, all over the place. And you probably know Yulia as well as a sourcing expert because she's owns Zignify and she's always talking about sourcing. So this last trip, we did China together. And I had Yulia and Sebastian and a few other folks from Zignify on the trip. And it was such an incredible learning experience to see that there are so many facets to sourcing. There's so many different ways to skin the cat, if you will. And all of us learned so much from each other, walking around the Canton Fair, all of that kind of stuff. So today, we're not only going to do a little bit of show and tell, I'm going to show you some really cool products that I got from the Canton Fair. Yulia's got some cool products too. We're going to do some show and tell to show you the types of products you can find when you source in person and how they're completely innovative, completely different, like nothing you've seen elsewhere. And we're going to talk about some different ways of sourcing and how there isn't just one way to negotiate. There isn't just one way to source. And then we're going to talk about what does Zignify do that's different than every other sourcing company that you've ever worked with. And the reason that they're able to deliver such incredible results for people. So welcome, Yulia. It's so great to have you here. Let's start out by talking about the differences in sourcing. How there's many different ways to skin a cat. And I don't want to skin a cat because I'm a cat lady. But
fair enough.
When I learned to source, it was very much kind of a really deep relationship building process where you really learn a lot about the supplier. You don't ever ask for minimum order quantity first. You really learn a lot and do the full interview process. And I learned so much just watching you source and the way also Sebastian sources. Because you guys don't do any of that, or you don't do a lot of that. You maybe do it later, but in the beginning, you're asking some very simple questions, and it was surprisingly very effective. So let's talk about that. Let's first start with the minimum order quantity question. I have always told people, don't start with what's your MOQ, because you don't want to give that supplier an impression of how little can I order from you, and that you're not a serious buyer. And you often start on a product. You see a product, you walk in and you're like, okay, what are we looking at for MOQ here? So tell me about that. Tell me about the strategy and how it's been effective for you.
That's exactly what you saw me doing at Canton Fair, right? This was one of the first questions I'm asking. I see the product, I'm asking, might be like, I ask, what is the price? What is your MOQ? Here, the perspective is a little bit different because it comes from experience. I know when they're BSing you, right? I know when I give you a wonderful example. We have a new customer with whom we started working yesterday, and he was working with a different sourcing agent, a Pakistani guy who lives in China, just for the last few months. So the MOQ that for the product he's doing, let's say he is doing the garlic press, right? The famous garlic press. So let's say the MOQ that was given to the customer was like 5,000 pieces. I'm like, this is bullshit, right? This is not how your first order will be over $8,000, etc., etc. That's not going to happen. So here you need to also go by logic. Remember, during the Canton Fair, one of the products we've seen, I don't know if you got the sample or not, but it was a very interesting and very high quality looking hand massager. They were in very beautiful pastel colors. There was the blue one, there was the pink and something else. And this product, we gave a price. I think the price was like $20 or something like this, purchasing cost. And then I asked her the MOQ, and she said like 3,000 pieces. I'm like, dude, come on. The point being is I know she can dictate the MOQ on this particular product. I mean, you can still go down on this for sure, but she can dictate the MOQ on this particular product because there was nothing I have seen around that came close to the quality that they had and to design that they had. Other products that are not completely unique, where you will see a few manufacturers around, asking what you're, especially if you're going to Canton Fair, especially if you're going through a few manufacturers and you're asking them for prices, and you gotta ask what the MOQ is, because if you're not going to ask, how are you going to know what each and every one of them is going to offer and with whom you need to continue the conversation? Let's say you went through one row, you went through 3 manufacturers and you asked for an MOQ for all of them. One gave you 1,000, the other one gave you 1,000, the other one gave you 700 pieces.
Yeah.
Right? So you will start the conversation with the guy who probably gave you the best price, but also the best MOQ. So here you also need to go, and this, fortunately for me, because I have the experience, unfortunately for the people who are starting to do sourcing on their own, it also comes with the gut feeling. You know what the realistic MOQ is, right? And the realistic MOQ is not an order that will be a total value of $10,000. Most likely, back in the day, about 10 years ago, the rule of thumb in China was that your order value should not be under $1,500 for small and medium-sized factories. I'm not talking about the big guys, right? But if your order is above 1.5, the factory will kind of try to make it. That was the entry point. Right now, it's a little bit on the higher end. I would say the rule of thumb right now is about $2,500 to $3,000 for a new product that you're kind of trying to launch. So it's not only MOQ, it's the total value of the order. And this is one of the reasons why I'm asking. I'm asking, what is your price? She tells me $5. What is your MOQ? 1,000 pieces? No. Right? Then your MOQ should be half of this. Then we can start talking, or even, 25% of what you actually told me. And I go, this is why we're asking about the MOQs. And for me, it's not only about, it's about how you're asking about those things. When you see a baby bird flying around Canton Fair, a person who's never been there before, a person who is walking on their own and for the first time ever is asking some questions to a manufacturer, of course they're going to take advantage of you. I will take advantage. Okay, I probably won't, but anybody will take advantage of you, because this is, at the end of the day, this is business. We're there to make money. And the manufacturers are there specifically to sell their products and to make money. And if in the first few years they're going to make an additional margin off of you because you're inexperienced, so what? But if you are coming there with more confidence, kind of, let's call it a little bit cocky, but not rude, they can sense it on you, they can smell it on you, and they can understand this person kind of gets to the point, and he or she is talking in such a way, it kind of throws them off balance. And there's yeah, okay, wait, right?
Yeah, and then they kind of
so
want
actually
they want your business, right? And they realize that you know what you're doing. You're not going to, waste your time with some, crazy MOQ. And so that was something that I learned from you, and that was an interesting technique where, and now I kind of navigate the Canton Fair a little bit differently than I have in prior years. I kind of go in sometimes with that, depending on the product and depending on what I want to do with that product. So sometimes, the rule of many is another rule that I learned from you. You guys contact so many suppliers for every single problem, 30 to 50 suppliers. And I'm used to like 5 to 10 max, right? So I learned the rule of many from you. And that kind of goes along with the MOQ question and what you were saying about trust. But for me, where I differ a little bit, and I would love to hear your opinion on it, is when we're customizing a product, right? So if I'm going in and I'm going to do something not completely different, but if I'm going to, maybe change a product enough where I could patent it or something like that, and I really do need to know more about that product besides MOQ, because I'm not going to be just buying that product, right? How do you go about it so that in those types of situations, I like to learn about kind of what I call a decoy product, because I want to learn what's the price of something very similar, and then I'm going to change it up and we're going to develop a relationship, and I want to know if that supplier can do development, stuff like that. So what is your strategy? Does it differ if you know that you're going to take that kind of base core product and you're going to change it up?
No. So it will be still 30 manufacturers that we get in touch with if we're talking about China. The difference here is, or if you're going through the Canton Fair, and if you are going to the Canton Fair, make sure to kind of bring the decoy product with you, right, from your competitor, order on Amazon or whatever the competitor is selling, if the competitor is selling in the first place. You need to find out the base price. You need to find out not only the base price for that product and the MOQs, etc., but one important question we always ask: how is their R&D and engineering department? How flexible they are on bringing the changes? How fast those changes can be done? So based on the basics of the price, MOQ for the decoy, and the answers they give, we usually narrow down the manufacturers to about 5. With those guys, we sign the NNN. And then with those 5, we will proceed already on the real product. Because look, the point why we contact so many manufacturers is because we want to make sure that the customer doesn't only have an original manufacturer, but they have a backup in case they're like selling like crazy. And everybody should always consider this, or in case something happened to the first factory. And that is extremely important. And the price differences that we sometimes see from one manufacturer to another, they're insane. So the number 30 didn't just come up, oh, that's a cool number, like, not too small, not too big, let's use it. I've been in this for 19 years. So I worked out for myself that this was a good number over the years that gave good results specifically for China. So if you are going to a Canton Fair, there are tons of different manufacturers who are producing similar products, right? Walk around, ask 5, ask 10, ask as many as possible. But those also don't only limit yourself with that. It doesn't mean if you're going to Canton Fair that you shouldn't also contact some of the manufacturers who might not be at the Canton Fair. Because sometimes, the diamond in the rough, right? Sometimes the best manufacturers can be hiding somewhere in the corner where at the Canton Fair, you actually haven't made it, because the trade show is so huge. You have tens of thousands of manufacturers. You're working like crazy. You get your steps, which is great. But yeah.
Yeah. So I have a video here, that hand massager you were talking about.
Here at Canton Fair, I'm getting my hands massaged. It's like very warm, and I don't know how to explain.
No, there was another one.
It's warm and it's massaging like the palm and all the fingers. It's pretty cool. It's nice. Here at Canton Fair, I'm getting my hand.
So
it wasn't this one, but I think it was at the same booth, because this one, to be open and honest, to me looks ugly. It looks, nice base, but then the Chinese thing, they slap it all this cheap silver, whatever, colorful buttons. But the other one was so beautiful, so subtle with the buttons and everything. But you made a video of this as well, because I remember, because I had it on my hand, and you came around and you took a video.
Yeah. I mean,
as well,
to give people an idea of, some of the just amazing products that they'll see at Canton Fair. And then let's do some show and tell here. So I've just got a little bit of pictures here. You can see some bags.
God, those bags, I understand they're fashionable, but come on. I mean, this like, they look.
What's your pets in them? Like, that's crazy. Look at these.
Okay, these are, those are cute. Yeah. I mean,
there were so many really neat, like this was obviously I was just walking through like one little area of pet stuff, but I couldn't believe it. And you know, what was the
You see, this product is good. You had the diapers for dogs, like products like this, I love. There was one before, there was like diapers and things like this.
Yeah.
I love those products because they're reusable. It's unfortunate for the pet that the pet might be in pain, etc., etc. But as a product that you sell online, this can be really good because this is something that people have to buy again and again and again. So if you start selling and you impress people enough with your branding, etc., customer service, this can set you up for a very long time.
Yeah.
Those are so cool.
Yeah, there was so many.
Oh yeah, the people.
Neat things in the pet space, and this is just one little area, and I could show you guys, you know, pictures for days. But you know,
so many of them are done out of sustainable material right now, which is pretty cool. And I'm not only talking about the pet stuff, but during the last Canton Fair, we've seen so many things that are going more towards nature, sustainability, eco-friendly, etc., which is a big trend right now in US and in every other country. And it's wonderful to see that. It was actually quite impressive. And deco stuff and I even like we had some candles that we saw during the Canton Fair with this where the top of the candle where the light comes from. So they're LED candles, right? It like flutters like a real one, and it kind of even makes a little bit of a sound. Not the fat one. So I actually found them here in Germany, and I bought them. And I can tell you, those guys have a good freaking margin on the candles when they're selling them.
So let's talk about
Yeah,
the
go
trip.
ahead.
You know, we just showed you guys some pictures from the trip and from the Canton Fair.
You should show pictures of the food and the people. That's when people get like, oh my God, I get to eat this. I get to go to KTV. Ha.
Yes, definitely. Well, we can share screen later and show some pictures too of our excursions that we did. But let's talk about, so we're talking about sourcing and, you know, some of these techniques and MOQ and, you know, what we should do, and we should get lots of quotes, whether we source in person or not. So let's talk about, we're going to Canton Fair April 24th through May the 3rd, and this is a 10-day trip. And we'll be attending phase 2 of the Canton Fair and phase 3 of the Canton Fair. And in between, we do our excursions, we do some tours, some factory tours, stuff like that. But you know, the Canton Fair is massive. And a lot of people, even if they've been to the Canton Fair before, they still come with our trip because they want to learn from others. They want to have that synergy. But I would love to just talk about what makes Canton Fair different than any other trade show that you've ever been to, and some of the benefits of actually attending or going to China in person versus sourcing remotely. So we had 4 different sellers that went with us on the last trip, all of which were already 7-figure sellers, already, you know, sourcing from China remotely. But going in person and doing the learnings with us beforehand and the learnings with us on site, they cut their costs by over 50%. Every single one of them. And that's the difference. You know, they were dealing with a lot of competitors that were cutting their prices and having a hard time competing. And I told them, like, the price that you see on Alibaba, the price that you're paying your suppliers is not the price right now. Like when you go to China, it's going to be different. So it's really is a game-changing thing. And there's a lot of really innovative products that suppliers bring. One booth in particular, I got a bunch of different samples from, and I've been using these products ever since. So I just want to kind of show, just to give an example, there's like 80,000 suppliers, guys. So they need you to come in their booth. So they're bringing the most innovative stuff. And so this is actually an oil sprayer, so you can spray the oil, but it's also a pourer. So it automatically works to pour like this, or you can lock the pouring part down and then use the sprayer. But this product I use constantly all the time. You can't buy it. This was one of the innovative products that they brought for their booth. The other thing they did,
which come to think of it, it doesn't sound so innovative, but pouring and spraying 2 in 1, but it's not there. It's not on the market, on the US market, for example, or honestly in Europe either. So yeah.
And let's say you wanted to do something similar. So this product, I actually was working on developing a similar idea And I hadn't thought about doing it this way. So this product actually is a little spice holder, spice jar, and they've built the cap to come out from the top, and it has a spoon built right in. So you now have, you know, access to your spices like this. And so they have a honey one, they have a one with a little oil brush built right in. I use it every.
And this is silicone, right? You can put it in a dishwasher, that's not a problem. And that's the beauty of it as well.
Yeah, so it's, well, this one's glass and it looks like a harder plastic on top. It does have a nice silicone liner on it. This was interesting too. It was another version of this where they made the spoon adjustable. So
that actually is cool.
Yes, exactly. So, and then another product that they had there that I had never seen before that gave me a lot of great ideas of, you know, doing something like this is an airtight container, airtight storage container, but the cap actually has a measuring cup built in and comes right off. So every morning when I'm going to make my coffee, I pour the beans in here and then I grind them. But you could do this with laundry detergent, container for laundry detergent. You could do it for so many different things. And so just seeing these ideas, and look, you can either source directly from this company, you know, and start being the one to sell these products online first, or you can work with them and maybe you want to develop your version of this, right? But you can't find stuff like this. Still, it's not online. Still. So, and this is just one booth out of 80,000. So you talked about the hand massager, Yulia. Did you see anything in particular at the Canton Fair this time that you just loved?
One of the things, and actually you and me, I think we saw this together, there was an electric pill dispenser, right? It had a timer when like it kind of goes off. It had even an app to which you can connect it, and it reminds you over the phone, and then it makes a sound. And you can, if you lost this pill dispenser, it has like a beacon, right? A beacon pinning device, so you can find your pill dispenser, etc., etc. So that was pretty cool, because if you think about, for example, people who take a lot of pills in general, especially the elderly who might displace, this is something that I really liked. I liked some of the products were so basic, but they were beautiful, and I haven't seen such craftsmanship anywhere but in Indonesia, in Bali. There were home and decorations and different types of very extremely beautiful lamps, table lamps, nightstand lamps, etc., etc., with wonderful eco-friendly materials, and the prices were like one beautiful lamp. The purchasing price was about, I don't know, $4, and I've seen similar ones. I haven't seen anything similar online like this on Amazon. But something that if you want to benchmark it, people were selling it for about $80. This little beautiful, gorgeous purchasing price, $5, and it's small, you know, it's light as well. And then, like, okay, let's say your landed cost maybe like, let's go crazy, it's like $7. You sell it for even 50.
Yeah,
you know, that's sometimes. And when we were walking around with one of the participants, we saw this, you know, it was me, Sebastian, and one of the people from the group, and we saw this beautiful, I saw this beautiful mirror. As simple as a mirror. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. It had like beautiful wooden ridge and things like this. Sebastian said, that's crap. Like, you're not gonna be like, this. He looks from a very different perspective. I said, this is beautiful. Let's take a look. We took our computer quickly. We went online on Amazon, saw if there are any similar products like this. Again, nothing like that exactly, but similar ones were being sold for $79. Purchasing price was $7.
amazing.
And you didn't have any competition. There were like some people, so the market is not saturated. It's kind of a new item, because I see a lot more people are going towards more expensive products and better quality. And people always, unfortunately, associate China with bad quality, which is bullshit. There's no other way to call it. I always give an example. If you're a person and you're going to a supermarket and you're buying a hammer for $1. What the hell do you expect? How long is this thing gonna last you? You know, you need to pay materials, you need to pay labor. When you're selling in retail, retail needs to buy it for half of the price. That means if you're buying a hammer for $1, the retailer must have bought it for 50 cents. People need to be paid, etc., etc. I've been myself to the factories in China that produce for Ray-Ban, that produce for Zara, Versace, Gucci. So you can find great quality in China as well. You just need to be prepared to pay a little bit more for this, and you can still market very well and sell it. And Canton Fair, look, I go to Canton Fair not to find specific manufacturers for our specific products because we're sellers ourselves. I go there for inspiration. I go, and you also asked, why do people come if they already buy from China? You said yourself. During the last trip, you learned from me, I learned from you, we all learned from each other. And I've been in this business for 19 years. It's extremely motivating, charging, and positive when you have a group of like-minded people, because this will charge you for the next year ahead and your business is going to explode. If you're going to go there on your own, you're going to, oh, here, oh, there, I'll come to the hotel, I'll fall asleep. No interactions, no networking, no exchanging of ideas and thoughts. And that is extremely important in any business.
Yeah, I love it. One other thing that I just want to bring up before we wrap up show and tell here is that sometimes at Canton Fair, because people always ask me, okay, Amy, should I come during phase 2, during phase 3? Like, when will I find my products? Is it phase 2? Is it phase 3? And the crazy thing is, Canton Fair is so huge, you will discover products from suppliers that are not meant for that phase, right? Like when you start talking to different suppliers, you'll see. So I saw this, I was walking around during phase 3, office supplies. So office supplies, I was in the office supplies kind of area, and I walk into this booth and I see a litter box. I just want to show you guys. Now this, keep in mind.
Well, if you're working from home, it's an office supply.
Yeah, exactly. But this guy makes plastic folders and stuff, right? And he had a whole wall of these pet supplies. So he was just dabbling in pet supplies. And I sell litter boxes, right? So for me, you know, here he held this thing up, and we've got Mark here. Hey, Mark, shout out to Mark. But, you know, here he's holding this thing up, and I'm going, whoa, wait a minute. Now, guys, the reason I mean, this is huge. I actually took the sample back with me. It's made out of a fully collapsible material that snaps together, easy to clean. Do you know how much this would save in shipping costs, everything else? Like, if you're building a bigger product, and that's the thing, if you're developing a product that's larger, shipping costs are always something to consider. So when you see things like this, it makes you consider completely new materials, completely new options. I actually developed, I used to have a large like waste bin on the plastic waste bin on the underside of my product, and it cost me so much money to ship. So walking through Canton Fair, I saw these collapsible laundry bins that went all the way down, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so strong, they're so sturdy, they're meant to hold a lot of, you know, laundry stuff like that. And so I worked with a supplier to develop one that was specifically to hold litter. We double stitched all of the handles. We made the inner lining waterproof, everything, and specifically designed it to fit with the other piece of my product. That saved me $14 a unit. $14 a unit saved me. And I would have never, you guys, I was working on this for over a year, trying to rack my brain and figure out, how the heck am I going to cut down the size? How am I going to make this work? And I was considering all these other materials, but they were so expensive and heavy. You know, they have like the collapsible kind of rubber or silicone things.
Yep.
But until I saw this at a booth at Canton Fair, and, you know, we're talking about about this and this, and these different ideas of, oh my gosh, there was so much ideation going on just walking through. And here I was in office supplies, in a hall with office supplies, and this supplier is playing around with litter boxes with the materials they already use. And he's very open to suggestions. He's just kind of looking at ways to innovate on his own business and expand his own lines. So these are the kinds of things that you see. And imagine doing this with others who are covering ground for you, because you've got, this space the size of 3 large airports, and now they just added another hall. When you have all of us covering ground, like we're literally in the WeChat all day, like, hey, did you see this over here? Look at this over here, and we're coming back together in the evenings and just talking and really helping each other. It's one of the best trips that I look forward to every single year, twice a year, because it really is so inspirational and so motivating, right? It's incredible.
I honestly think if people don't consider the sourcing trip for maybe it's too expensive or something like this, I will tell you one thing. If you're gonna try to do this trip on your own, you're gonna end up spending more money. For a simple reason, if you want to stay in a good 4 or 5 star hotel where we stay, where you have Western food and you've never been to China before, you need to stay at the place which has the Western food. Can you stay at a dirt cheap local Chinese hotel? Yeah, but you are not going to be able to, enjoy it because the bulk of the trip, right, it's the hotel costs and things like this and we get better offerings simply for the reason because there's a lot more of us and we know how to negotiate locally, etc., etc. So if a person is going to end up going on their own, first of all, they're going to have no idea of how to organize things, where, what, how. Yeah, you can watch some YouTube videos, but I guarantee you're going to end up coming out of this with a lot more nervous energy than the positive, innovative, entrepreneurial energy that you're supposed to come out. To be open and honest, you're not making so much money on the trip because, the trip is like, if you openly and honestly, it's dirt cheap in comparison to other providers, and for the quality that is there. For this year, we're already talking to the port of Guangzhou to go and visit them, etc., etc. So all of those things, and plus, we know the local culture. I lived in China myself for 9 years. I come from the border with China. The first time I went there was in 1993. So we literally know what happens on the ground. If you compare it to a lot of other people who've been going to China for the last 10 years, it's still very different. Us going to all the local Chinese northern food restaurants and going to karaoke and all of those things. It's very different. Plus, the communication with the people, whether they're beginners or they're 7 or 8 figure sellers, and the sponsors that are present there as well. The sponsors are not there to kind of catch the customers. The sponsors are there so they can give their expertise, whether it is in logistics with quality control and sourcing, whether it's in PPC or managing your Amazon account or TikTok shop. You're all there. Normally, talking to those people, you pay thousands of dollars per hour for consultation. Here, you pay like 3-something grand for a trip, close to 4 grand for one person, and for 10 days. Oh, this was nice. This was Guangzhou. We went out for the evening on the boat thing. And I remember the people, especially the ones from US, they were like, oh my God, China is so beautiful. It was like, for me, it's normal, but for them, it's like everything's so beautiful. There are holograms on the houses everywhere and things, and electric cars driving everywhere. Yeah, this was really cool. That was a very nice night. And the food and the culture. And this is the important part, right? Going there for inspiration, going there for contacts, going there for understanding the culture will make you a better partner for your future manufacturers or existing manufacturers in China. So this was a packaging manufacturer. Those guys were fun. Going through factories, taking pictures, listening. They had really cool holographic packaging being manufactured there. Right? You can also get ideas even for your packaging. Inlays, plastic inlays for cosmetics. Now they can be substituted with more innovative material, which is recycled, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a different experience. And I think the cool thing is it's been what, like 6 months now since the last trip, and people are still dropping messages in the WhatsApp chat and asking questions to one another and meeting up in the different countries across the globe and discussing business. And I think this is also important. This is about building a community and finding people who can support you but also can kick your ass, right? So
Yeah, we also.
oh yeah, testing facilities. Massage facilities.
Getting
Vincenzo Tesla, yeah.
CC serving everybody. Oh man, that was a lot of fun.
Poor CC.
So we saw how all these different products are tested. That was really an interesting experience. And I mean, we also went to Alibaba for the day. That was a big highlight for everyone. Jewelry factory. Oh my gosh, you took us to a jewelry factory. I had never seen the way jewelry is made before. And that was so fascinating. I mean, there was
that was insane.
Really crazy, like just seeing the way that the metal is cut and how delicate it is and how it's handled. It was just an incredible experience. I've never seen anything like that before. And I've been to a lot.
And it's all shiny. It's all shiny and clean. For me, that was like, holy crap. I don't really wear jewelry, but I mean, this was insane. The amount, the number of production lines and everything, it was just crazy. And
Yeah.
plus, you also see the country, right? You see the country, you see the local, you see the local people. If you have a better look, I, for example, after going to US a few times for different trade shows, etc., I started to have better understanding of the Americans in general who come from different states, you know. And the same goes for doing business. If you're doing business with China, if you're going and you're visiting local places, you have a better understanding of how they're behaving. If you understand the country a little bit more, right? It's just makes sense.
Amazing.
Food is. Some people were not were like, what is that? I'm not gonna eat that. But in general, I mean, nobody was hungry. Everybody was happy, and we went sightseeing as well. So you understand the background of the culture. Because why are people like, if you look at US, right? US basically a country that came to be because of a lot of immigrants arriving throughout different centuries from many different countries. And it kind of made this new nation. With the Chinese, the story is different. They've existed for thousands and thousands of years. They have a certain culture that is still embedded in their everyday life. And these are the differences we need to understand. They might be more religious. Their religion is different. A lot of people are extremely surprised about how the food is being shared, right? Because when you go to China, you have like one big table and not everybody is ordering for themselves. The same, it's normal in US, but you order 10 dishes. Like when we went to a restaurant, right? I ordered 23 dishes for 4 of us. Was it four,
Yes,
5 of us?
Something,
which was insane.
And you know, it's really cool. Look at Sebastian out here. Sebastian is trying all the food. He's not afraid.
Well, for him, it's also like second home, right? He also lived in China for so many years. So, but yeah, you have.
Here's me and Mark trying some coffee, and Randon's back there. Oh my goodness, this was down on Beijing Street, and where there's just really great like little shops.
It's a shopping street, exact,ly. Food, shopping, music. We went to an Italian restaurant.
Stuff like that. Oh, we spent the day at Alibaba. Yes. That was a great time, right? Really just seeing like what they do at Alibaba and, you know, how they're set up. We got to spend the day with suppliers. We had a bunch of classes there where we did a lot of classroom learning. It was really an incredible experience.
You understand the things a little bit more from the inside. And look, this is, again, I always say, When you're finding a manufacturer for yourself, this is like marriage. If you don't want to get married, then this is like a relationship, right? You need to understand the feelings of the other party. It's not enough just to consider or business. Really great businesses, they're developed together, they have an emotional involvement, and they have a better understanding about one another, about each other's cultures, and how you treat the people. For God's sake, how you give a business card in China, how you do not put chopsticks like this. Don't do this anywhere in the world, not in Japan, not in US. When you go into Chinese restaurant, never put the chopsticks in a food like this, always lay them down. When you put this like this is death, right? Like literally it means death. You do like funeral, etc. So all of those things, right? And imagine you go to China on your own, you don't know any of those things, you're putting your chopsticks like this. The Chinese person, he doesn't understand that you don't understand. He's just gonna go, are you insane? Okay. He's probably not gonna walk out on you, but he's not gonna feel so positive about you. It's the same thing, right? If you don't understand another person's culture and you're not trying to kind of get involved in there a little bit and learn, they're not going to be happy about it. It's as simple as that.
That's the great thing about building relationships is, it really means something. And that's why even some of the folks that came along that went and visited their same suppliers that they've been working with, that visit helped them cut their costs and build better partnerships. And so that's the thing. There's no replacement for that in any culture that you source from. There is no replacement for that in-person relationship. So I love that we get to walk alongside you guys and that we get to do this together and we get to have these learnings. So we're looking forward to April. If you guys want to check out the trip in April, you can go to amazingathome.com/China. You can see all of the inclusions. We have early bird pricing right now. People keep asking me, Amy, when does early bird pricing end? And I'm like, when my hotel prices go up, that's when it ends. So I don't have an exact date for you, but when they go up, they're going to go up and there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. So lock in your spot now. So you can go to amazingathome.com/China, check it out. And right there, you'll see Zignify in the sponsors list. And if you want to engage with Zignify, you can click the Zignify logo there, and that's going to take you to a little landing page where Zignify has some pretty cool offers for you. And I have to tell you guys, a lot of the folks that came on our trip, they, even though they learned how to source in person and they are fully capable of doing that, they still decided to have Zignify do their sourcing for them. Because Zignify does things in a different way than most sourcing agencies. So tell us a little bit about that, Yulia. What makes Zignify different? And how do you guys, one of the key things is that you guys source globally, not just in China. You really can give a lot of options, but your payment model is different. Everything about what you guys do is different. In terms of working with a sourcing company. So tell us a little bit more about Zignify and why people should consider what you guys have to offer.
It's funny you said that some of the people, like quite a lot of people who went on the trip, they started working with us even during the trip. Even before the trip was over, we organized factory guided tours directly for some of the people right after the Canton Fair. But the funnier thing is that currently we have some of our existing customers who are interested in going on the trip. So we're already doing sourcing for them, but we still think it's important if they have an opportunity to go for the trip. Because again, it's not only about the sourcing, it's about learning many different processes. Most of the sourcing agents, you know how they work. And this doesn't only go for China, this goes for many countries across the globe. They work on commission, they hide the manufacturer, and you have zero freaking control over what is happening. If you have been any type of seller, whether it is Amazon, TikTok, anything, retail, you can understand how little control you actually have over the things that are happening. And we're sellers ourselves. We wanted to give a little bit of that control back to our customers, right? Because I don't believe in taking kickbacks. I believe in giving customer value overload. So if there is more information that I can share, we will always do this. So for us,
I've seen, because some of my clients use Zignify and I send my clients to Zignify all the time. And I've seen what you guys provide. You're so transparent. Your list of suppliers, your list of prices, like everything is right there for you to look at. It's right there for you to engage on. You're never blind to what's going on. You always, and you're paying up front. You're paying for that flat fee, that hourly fee. So you don't have to worry.
No, that's where you're wrong. You don't pay up front. Well, I mean, you pay for it after we actually done the processes, right? But the point being is it's like one-time investment. Whether it is short term or long term, it's still cheaper.
Yeah, what I mean by upfront is like they're not taking a commission out of your order. You're paying for the sourcing services, and then you go make your order at whatever the great price they found you was, and there's no chunk of your price going to Zignify, which could cause that price.
No. I don't believe I don't believe into the point where money will go through us and then we pay the manufacturers. No. If customers want our help to do mass production, management, quality control, shipping, we will do all of this, but they don't have to. I think you as a customer, you have your own products on Amazon. We know a lot of people in the industry, a lot of service providers, they still have their brands, and all of them, they will never work with an agent who doesn't provide them the direct information of the manufacturer, where you don't have the direct contact with the manufacturer. Why? Because if you don't, things will go wrong, and you're probably paying too much, right? And the information flow will be a lot slower, and this and that. You can't imagine how many conversations I've been having in the past few weeks, like specifically about this. Whoever you work with, if you're not doing sourcing on your own, if you're using an agent, us or anybody else, it doesn't matter. But you need to make sure you always have direct contact with your manufacturer. Not even if you don't want to save money, fine, don't save money. But so you have the control, so your response rate is faster. And if there are problems, they can be fixed. Because usually the person in the middle, they don't care as much, they don't get involved as much, and this is where the problems start. For me, that's a little bit of a different story. Every person that we have on our team, every project manager that works with the customer, they get emotionally involved because it's like they're working inside of person's company. And this is the only way where you can bring great results. Do we fuck up sometimes? Absolutely, we're human, right? But you gotta stand up for your mistakes and make sure that everything's okay. Sourcing is, I was talking to a customer yesterday over the weekend. It was 2:00 in the morning for him. He wrote an absolutely angry email. My current supplier, shit, beep, I'm gonna beep, 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 beep. He's not our customer. So he had a sourcing agent in China. He spent about 3 months. He has 0 results. I'm like, in 3 months, how many quotations did you get? 3. Are you talking to your manufacturers directly? No. Are they manufacturers or trading companies? I don't know. Where in China they look? I don't know anything.
Yeah, and that's often I find with people that are working with, like, they have no idea. They don't have any way then to go back to that supplier and build a relationship. No. They have no way to know if things are truly protected. They have no idea. So I love that transparency. No. So you guys, you have every reason to check out what Zignify has to offer and check out the China trip. We're all going together. It's going to be a great time. You can go to amazingathome.com/China. And you can check out everything that we are doing. And you can click right here on the Zignify logo, and that will take you to Zignify's virtual booth, and you'll be able to check out everything that they have to offer and engage with them. And it's definitely worth it. You guys are amazing, and you've saved all of our clients so much money and time, and you do good business. So thank you for everything you do, Yulia. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for being our premier sponsor as part of our China trip and helping us make this happen for so many entrepreneurs.
I'm just doing this for the food.
Everybody learned that about Yulia, that she's she's great for restaurants, and everybody's still talking about that in our last China trip chat. They're like, when are we going for food, Yulia?
Look, I found it in Orlando, right? We were in Orlando during Camp Ecom on the first night. I found on Uber Eats and stuff like this a northern Chinese food restaurant. And I posted the photo in our China group, and we had some people from Orlando who were on the China sourcing trip, and they were like, and before that they heard I was going to Orlando, do you need advice where to go? But then when I posted the photos, they're like, how did you find this? Tell us where we go. So
yes,
yeah, and
it's so cool
that people are still communicating.
We'll have to do that in Vegas. So yeah, if you guys are going to Prosper Show, come check us out there.
Yes.
All right, everybody.
Yes.
Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you in China.